Toronto detached homes are now over $2 million. Whoa! Another record, as usual. Stay tuned to find out what the heck is happening in this market right now. Good day, Toronto. Welcome to another episode of Prime Property. So glad you joined me here today. This is the market watch everybody's been waiting for because things have been completely bonkers and out of craziness, like even to the extent of I don't even understand what's happening right now, and some things are just blowing my mind. So this is a follow-up market watch to the crazy January we saw. And right now, I would say the market is kind of cresting, like I was saying in the last two videos, like we expected. But let's get to the numbers and see what kind of damage has already been done. All right, let's get straight to the numbers. You can see over here, the average in GTA right now is $1.33 million. Yup. We increased another 7.4% from last month. This makes your total about 15% in the first 2 months of the year. Now, I think we were going to do like 8 to 10% in February, but the slowdown in the last 2 weeks definitely had an effect on the market. And this is kind of why we didn't hit that 8 to 10% increase. Now, the months of inventory has also increased from 0.73 to 0.95, which is just call it 1, but that's a 31% increase. This is a good sign. This means that we have more inventory coming as expected, which is exactly what we're experiencing right now, called the spring market, right? It's just, a few weeks early. Usually it's after March, but it's a little bit early. However, like I was saying in my previous videos, when I say slowing in the market, we're going from like 12 out of 10 to an 8 out of 10. So it's definitely still a seller's market. I don't think we are going to see prices coming down in the near future just because of a little bit of slowdown. But March should be a little bit less hectic than February. Now, the spring market also brings all the big boy 416 homes to the market. And like I was saying in the headline, it's already $2 million to start, which should skew the average up along with the surging condo prices. And that's exactly why I don't think that average price is going to come down, because you'll see later in this video, the condos are crushing it right now too. Now, what's actually slowing down the market is the 905 suburbs, and you'll see that shortly why. But of course, like I was saying in the beginning of the video, the big stat that you all came to look at is the average Toronto detached home is now $2 million. Oof, that is nuts, man. Like, that's up 10% from last month. And in the first 2 months alone, the Toronto detached has gone over 20% in appreciation from like 1.85 to like 2 million now. It's wild. It's just wild. Now, one of the key points you're going to see in this video is that there's a really big shift in terms of like the buyers going back to Toronto proper properties, right? So like, south of Steeles between Ajax area and the 427. And we've seen most of the activity in the 4 and 6 because everyone's flocking in, kind of like the end of the pandemic, like last year. And while I say this, keep in mind that this data that you're looking at from Treb is always lagging behind from what's happening immediately right now, which is kind of the whole like boots on the ground data. You have to remember, all this data I'm showing you from Treb is an aggregate data for all of February. So in the beginning of February, when we were going at a pace of like 12 out of 10, everyone's expectation is that any house, regardless of how poorly marketed it is going to sell, because that's what we saw in January. However, the buyer sentiment is now shifting, like I was saying in the last 2-3 weeks, and those houses are no longer getting any offers. I'm talking about the crappy ones, the POSs. You can probably figure out what POS stands for. But the really well renovated, picture perfect homes with great photos, 3D tours are still getting 10 plus offers. That's why things are kind of all over the place. And we just saw last week, we saw East York semi, half a house, go for $3.1 million. So depending on where you are getting your data, everyone can kind of paint a different picture by cherry picking certain listings, right? So not everyone knows what's happening right now, and things are all over the place. But the overall trend is growing from a 12 out of 10 to an 8 out of 10. I think we'll get a spring market as usual, but definitely don't expect a 5 to 10% increase month over month because that's crazy. Don't expect that anymore. We'll probably see the normal 1 to 2% increase, which to many people's idea right now will feel like a very small market and the market's crashing. But in reality, in a strong spring market, we see 1 or 2% shift every single month, right? So we're just going back to a more normal, balanced seller's market, which is good. So it's still a seller's market, not a buyer's market, but it's just not frenetic. So back to what I was saying about the 4 and 6 detaches. They're still going ridiculously strong. Months of inventory is exactly what it was last month. You can check that out. The chart's over here, which coincides with what I've been saying a lot. Despite all the increased inventory that's coming to Toronto for these detaches, the same amount of sales are happening. And the same can be said for the 4 and 6 semis, and you can see the prices here, and the towns. And same thing, the 4 and 6 semis now are up 2% to like 1.5 mil. The 4 and 6 towns are also up 5% to like 1.15 mil. And what's gonna blow you away are condos. Zen's been talking about them for the last 3 weeks. Condos are up 8% month over month to 822,000, which is the highest we've ever seen the 4 and 6 condos ever reach, which is bonkers, right? This is the first time the average price for a 4 and 6 condo broke the 800,000. And oh man, did it do it in style, went boom, right? This is why I've been preaching the 4 and 6 condos for a while, because we saw the trend coming. And the trend for this is that the sales to new listing ratio is skewing towards a stronger seller's market as we were heading into spring, because there's less inventory coming for how many sales that are happening, right? So while there is inventory coming, sales are just happening at a faster rate and much faster than most people have expected. So I expect this trend to kind of continue well into spring, maybe in the summer. But when you have a shift back to like Toronto proper into the areas that, 4 and 6 is, it's only the segment of the market where you can buy something for less than $1 million. This is why the condos are going to go on a tear and why it's trending upwards right now. And this is why I've been saying, get a condo in the last 3 to 4 weeks, and even earlier than that, right? So hopefully you listened and you made some money on that. Now, this is the type of real estate content you enjoy. Make sure you help us spread the knowledge by smashing that like button and subscribing to the Prime Props channel, because every week we make awesome content like this. And actually every month we give you market updates as the Trev numbers come out to kind of keep you informed, a mix of data that's past plus new boots on the ground data to show you what's happening in the market so you can make the right decision. And we do all of this for you free on YouTube, just so that whenever you're ready to buy, sell, or invest, you'll be like, Zen, he knows what he's talking about, and you'll book a call with me using the link right here. It's www.chadzap.com to kind of strategize what your move is going to be. And that's why we have our model as your move, your future. We plan to make the right move for you to set you up for a proper, good future. Now, on to the 905, which is where we're seeing the most slowdown of them all, right? The numbers over here. So your 905 detachers are up a paltry 1.52%. Yeah, a paltry 1.52% to 1.72 mil. Yes, paltry. That's what happens when you have crazy expectations of month over month growth that we've seen in the last 2 months. And it just messes up with your expectations. Sales are crazy at the beginning of Feb, but new listings are up dramatically like crazy in the latter half of Feb, which is why it brings the months of inventory kind of a little bit higher. Now, when I say higher, it's still sub 1 right now. However, if we continue to see the new listings at the rate the latter half of February, I would expect that we should probably see the months of inventory at the end of March to be somewhere around like 1.5, effectively doubling the months of inventory. But remember, 1.5 is still very much a seller's market. It's just that people aren't throwing money at these properties anymore. And 1.5 months of inventory will be wonderful, actually, because it takes the frenetic frenziness out of it. However, like I said, a good property in a good area is still selling, but the bad ones are not. And I wouldn't say, right now is an opportunity to buy just yet for anyone who's kind of out there looking to pounce on a good deal. Sellers that don't get the price that they're looking for will likely just terminate the listing and relist it. Or if they didn't get the price they wanted, but I'm not going to sell right now because they don't need to, and take it off the market. Where you can find some opportunity is if you somehow have a good agent, right? If not, call us, but you run into a seller who has already bought something and they need to sell to close the thing they bought earlier. Then they may be at a pinch and you may be able to put some pressure on them to get a deal. Now, the 905 semis are up 3.75 to like almost 1.3 mil. The 905 towns are up like 4.5% to 1.12 mil. This means right now that the cheapest, the most inexpensive freehold property in all of GTA by average is 1.12 mil. That's the 905 towns. We went from the least expensive freehold of about like $1 million at the turn of the year to 1.12 mil in the first 2 months of 2022. Absolutely wild. There you have it. An explosive February, but definitely a shift is happening right now. Whether the shift is going to last, we'll see in March, and that's why you should stay tuned to our channel to see what's going on. But again, All of these numbers are great and they're record breaking, but we're now in a market that's changing, and that's exactly why you need to work with someone who knows what the heck is going on. We won't see the type of growth we saw in the last 2 months, but spring is still spring, and I expect a minor 1 to 2% increase month over month. Just don't expect a boom explosive growth that we saw in like the first 6 weeks of the year. Similar to last year, this is a big overarching kind of idea for you. When the pandemic restrictions got lifted, people started to slow down on the real estate frenzy and enjoy life. And right now, we're going through this shift right now. I can already see it. A lot less people are calling me about real estate. This is kind of what happened last year. This is why I say it'll probably happen again this year and why the market is shifting right now. So you're looking to kind of get an idea of what the heck is happening, whether you should buy, sell, or invest right now, depending on your situation and what your property is valued at, whether it actually makes sense because it's going to have a lot of offers or not. You can book a call with me using the link right here. It's www.chatwithzen.com. Until next time, your move, your future. See ya. Now that you're done watching this one, how about this one? Oh, you know what? This one's good too. Ooh, this one's really good. You know what? Just watch them both.